Hello and welcome to Duncan Digs Gardening. Hope you're all well. I thought I would do a quick video. As you can see, I've been on a bit of a spending spree with bulbs and other things. So I thought I would go through the different kinds of bulbs and what considerations you tend to have to think about when you purchase these, because the temptation, of course, is when you go to a garden centre and you, oh, that looks nice, that looks nice, that looks nice, grab, and then you sort of come home and you think, A, where am I going to put it all? Which, to be fair, is the same thing I thought, but whatever. B, is it gonna work? Is it gonna be viable? Is it the best place for it? Do I want to fill the space that this is going to take up? Am I even aware of what space it's going to take up? What's it going to look like in a few years' time? It's not something you have to necessarily spend a huge amount of time. It depends how serious you are about creating a certain look and feel. The last few years, I would say, has been very kind of slapdash, and I've just kind of gone, right, well, let's try and start to put some structure in. Bigger stuff at the back, taller stuff at the back, smaller, more compact stuff at the front on a kind of graduating scale. That's generally how a lot of gardeners are told to approach things. But to be honest, whatever makes you happy is the primary purpose here. So I'll just quickly run through some of these. I'll pop a close-up of each one onto the screen as I'm talking about them, so don't worry too much if you can't see them. I'm going to start with these bearded irises. So these are beautiful. This is called Louder Still, Black Dragon, and Loop the Loop, basically. And bearded irises love to bake. They absolutely love to bake in the sun. So free draining soil, very gritty. The rhizomes at the surface will eventually spread as the plant ages, so it will kind of self-seed and grow. So it's an ideal spot, certainly in from what I can think in my garden, for more prairie style, because that's where it's going to get the most sunlight. The hottest part of the garden is at the front of the house. So they're going to go in, and we'll see how that goes. But they're obviously very beautiful. They flower around May, June. So if you're looking for that kind of late spring into summer transition, these will be perfect. So that's one consideration. We've got a lovely dahlia here called Wine-Eyed Jill. I know someone by that name, but she probably won't thank me for labelling her as such, so we won't go there. But this is a pom-pom dahlia. Shout out to my mum, who hates them because earwigs can hide inside the little florets and the little tubes. So note for later on this year, don't go anywhere near it when it's flowering, mum. Agapanthus, this is a great one for midsummer, basically the height of summer, warmest spot in the garden you can find. If you're going to put it in a pot, Agapanthus love to be crowded, so don't put it in a huge pot where it has plenty of space. They actually perform better if they're a little bit space restricted, a little bit tight. So pick a slightly smaller pot before you plant something like this up, and you should be fine. We have a peony here, Duchess de Memoir. This is a May-June peony. I have 3 or 4 peonies, and they're beautiful, but they're mostly on the kind of pinks and purple shades and things like that. So I was really attracted to this one because I don't have any white peonies, and this is looks about as white as they come. So I'm looking forward to planting that one. Again, that can go in a pot or it can go in the ground. Perfectly happy in either. This looks like, I would guess, a tree peony. Might have to look that one up, because a previous video I did, I talked about how tree peonies do need to be buried. The crown needs to be buried. If it was a bush peony, you'd expose some of the top of the crown to the elements to encourage it to flower. They prefer it that way. I think this looks like a tree peony, so we'll see. But something to look up, and obviously good advice that when you are buying these things, do a little bit of research first. If you spot one, you have a rough idea about what you want to do with it and where you want to put it. speaking of baking in the sun, these are ideal for the hottest part of your garden, the Liatris and the Echinops. So these are kind of mid to late summer. So just as the light is starting to fade, just as the temperatures are starting to drop ever so slightly, this will come out, followed by this. And these are going to go into the front garden. So they perfectly pair with your kind of grasses, with Echinacea, with Rudbeckia, that kind of late summer, hazy summer nights kind of thing. And these will flower quite happily as long as they get some decent sun. So highly recommended if you have a kind of grassy, low maintenance garden. You can just plonk them in and they'll be absolutely fine as long as they get enough sun. And then last but not least, we've got some gladioli here. So this is Charming Henry and Cherry Candy. So I've got one more. So these are the two gladioli here, Cherry Candy and Charming Henry. So again, July to September, late summer, perfect time to plant them now. And just plonk them in the ground and they will perform perfectly well. They don't mind a bit of shade. I have gladioli across all of this section of the garden, and it works perfectly well with a sort of, as long as it gets some sun, it's absolutely fine. And then finally, last but not least, with this Acidenthera. So it's a gladiolus. It's gladioli, basically part of the family, and this is an August-September flowering one. And I will probably pair it up and perhaps mix these together. I think some of them are going to go in pots, some of them will go into the ground, but overall we'll see how they go. So lots to consider there, I think, in the main. Plants that need a lot of sun, make sure you position it properly. In a northwest facing garden like this, I have to be very careful about where I put plants. Sometimes it just doesn't work. They just don't get enough sunlight, and basically the sun travels down the full length of the garden as the day goes on before it pops behind the house, and that's when the front garden gets the most sunlight and warmth, especially in high summer. So something to bear in mind. As I say, think about where you're planting them. Things like the Agapanthus, for example. Apologies for the shaky camera, it's a bit windy today. Things like the Agapanthus, for example, again, as I said, compact, it likes to be squeezed into a small space, so keep that in mind. And this dahlia will go into my stores alongside all the other dahlias, which I've plonked in dry, dark boxes full of perlite, just to keep them overwintered. So this will go in there alongside all of the others, and I'll be doing a video probably in about a month's time where I'll be potting up some of the dahlias and then bringing them inside so that the warmth accelerates the growth. A lot of the problems that I have in this part of the country, in the northwest of the UK, is that the dahlias often, they need that first bit of warmth to actually get going. Once they've sort of leafed and they've started to shoot, it's fine. But actually getting to that point, I've had years where dahlias haven't started to appear until June, July. Now, in some cases, that's absolutely fine, but in many cases, I got a few flowers off them before the frost killed them because they just took so long to get going. So I tend to bring my dahlias inside for about a month, maybe a month and a half, before I put them back out, once I can see growth. And I recommend you do the same if you're in colder climes. So that's it. I can see I've once again been joined by my director-producer. So from Jackie Collins and myself, I'll see you soon.